Today we are reviewing the Amarey A800 robot vacuum. We put it through all of our usual tests and the results were pretty interesting. So links in the description for current prices, and let's get started. Amarey currently has two models, the A800 and the A900, which they just came out with. They tend to make budget robot vacuums, and they've started to make a name for themselves in a pretty crowded field. They have some really good reviews, so I thought I would buy one and give it a try. First, let's hit the basics. It comes with a charger, an extra filter, and a filter brush. It has two side brushes, which I tend to prefer over the single brush models. It's a random navigation robot, which is typical for robots in this price range, but as we'll see later, it has a pretty good algorithm and decent coverage. We started out by testing its power, specifically its airflow with an anemometer. We found that it had 13 CFM on high power and 9 CFM on low power, which is pretty good, more than the best-selling Deebot N79S, Samsung R7040, or Roomba 690, but not quite as much as the Eufy 11S or some of the more expensive bots, which tend to reach about 20 CFM on max power. Its power showed up in the Crevice Test, where it got debris from the 1/8" crevice and a little from the middle crevice, which is actually a bit better than some other robots that have a touch more power. In terms of its pickup ability on hard floors and carpets, we found that it could pick up everything from fine debris to extra large debris. It did leave some debris behind on low power, but it did much better on high power, and the debris it did leave behind was mostly related to corner and edge cleaning. In general, I was impressed with its hard floor performance. One more thing on hard floors to note, though, was with regard to pet hair and human hair. I like that it has a dual exhaust that is somewhat diffused, which means it doesn't blow light debris like pet hair around. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but you'd be surprised how many robots don't deal with that. On the hair test, it did get human hair wrapped around the brush, which is typical, but it did resist getting tangled by the shorter pet hair, which is more than you can say for its direct competitors, the Deebot and the Eufy. It did really good on carpet. It did almost identically on both low and high power, picking up all the debris that was put down. The little that was left was again related to edge and corner cleaning, not a lack of pickup ability. With the carpet deep clean test, where we embed exactly 100 grams of sand into a medium pile carpet and weigh the bin before and after, it scored a 62, which is better than its main competitor, but still middle of the road if not below average. Its battery life was maybe a little above average though at 100 minutes on low power, with a definitely above average dustbin capacity at 500 milliliters, almost 40% more than the typical Roomba. It was also really quiet at 59 decibels on low and only 62 on high, which makes it one of the quietest robots I've ever tested. So let's move on to the navigation and obstacle avoidance tests. First, it has a really low profile at 2.7 inches, and so it made it under 3 of the 4 height clearances in our test, and it's the only robot vacuum that's been able to consistently clean under the couch in our new obstacle course so far. Though, for the same reason, it couldn't climb the 3/4 inch threshold. Most vacuums have trouble with it, but the Amarey doesn't even come close to climbing it. As far as coverage, we did some 15-minute and 30-minute tests in 2 locations. With the 15-minute test, it did much better than the Eufy, which was surprising, covering a good portion of the room in a very short period. With a 30-minute test, it did really good in a big room. Typically, random bots need more than 30 minutes to cover this amount of space, but even so, it almost got it all. We did the 30-minute small room test a few times, and it did pretty good there too. I was particularly impressed with the algorithm for navigating around table legs and similar difficult spots. You can see though that it did miss some areas. The second 30-minute run certainly got the areas it missed the first time, but that's just the nature of random navigation bots. The Amarey is not a Wi-Fi enabled robot, so it's just controlled with the included remote control. It has all the basic functions like spot mode and edge cleaning. You can use it to schedule cleanings or even use it to direct the robot to a spot it might have missed. So the Amarey A800 seems to be a pretty good value. I'd still like to directly test it against some of its main competitors to be sure, but I think it may end up being really high on our list of favorites in the budget category. Links in the description, and be sure to subscribe to Vacuum Wars for all the latest robot vacuums, regular vacuums, and carpet cleaners. Thanks for watching.